Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bobby. Guys, since I reverted to Islam, which is around about 2 years ago, oftentimes Christians came over to my channel and they told me that I will regret reverting to Islam, that soon I will understand that it was a mistake leaving Christianity, that indeed I will return to Christianity in due time once I realize how evil Islam is. What those people don't truly understand is, however, that I left Christianity before reverting to Islam. It wasn't a seamless transition. I wasn't a Christian and then the next day, whoopsie, I woke up as a Muslim. I already got disillusioned with Christianity. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk about it in a bit, but first I want to show you a video that basically sums up my thoughts about Christianity. Guys, before we do so, however, as always, if you enjoy my content, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out the links in the description box below to further support my work. And now, with no further ado, let's have a look.
Christian theology in a nutshell. God sacrificed God to God in order to save God's creation from God. God prayed to God for help, but God did not help God, and God killed God with help from humans. And that God is a father of himself and a son of himself at the same time. He is also eternal, but his birthday is celebrated on 25th of December or January 7th, depending on the sect. And he is also the seed of Abraham, who is human. He also sent himself on earth in community and committed and living by forcing people to commit a sin of murder against him, because it was the only way for him to forgive humans for a much lesser sin of this one woman who lived 6,000 years ago.
Yes, beautifully summed up indeed. Those were the struggles that I had back in the day with Christianity. Once you snap out of it, it is quite strange. It's kind of bewildering looking at Christians, seeing that they're still justifying those theological concepts. Because once you're out of it, you really see the absurdity of it all. For me, it all started with the Trinity. It was not logically defensible that God is not uniquely one, but has three aspects to himself. And we have to be very careful with the wording here, of course, because Christians will tell you those three things are not parts. Otherwise, you fall into the heresy of partialism, but those are persons. But for me, those are just semantics, to be quite honest, because what does it really matter? Persons, parts. Ultimately, you're saying that God is not uniquely one, but that he has three personalities. Those persons are different types of characters, and they are confirming that by saying that the Father is not the Son, and the Son is not the Holy Spirit, etc. Hence, they are different from each other, but at the same time, they are one God. And that doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. If we say, for example, okay, I am Bobby, I am one Bobby, however, I have a right hand and a left hand, and those hands are Bobby as well, but the right hand is not the left hand. Yeah, sure, in the human realm that might make sense, where you have space and time, where you have body parts, etc. There, such an explanation could make sense. However, when it comes down to God, this of course extremely counterintuitive and illogical as well. So, as I said, I already started struggling with the Trinity as a Christian, and then shortly after I said that I'm not going to follow the Orthodox Christian doctrine anymore. I'm not going to believe in the Trinity. I'm going to be a Unitarian Christian. However, then you face a bunch of other problems as well, because if you believe in Christianity and you don't believe in the Trinity, you do believe that there's only one God worthy of worship, fine, but then you have to ask yourself the question, why did that God then send his supposed son to earth to be sacrificed? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever either, especially if you believe in a purely monotheistic depiction of a God. It becomes extremely strange that he has a son to begin with. But even if we accept this kind of Greek mythological premise of gods having sons, okay, why does God send his son to earth then to be sacrificed in order to forgive us? Can't he just forgive us? Why does he need to go down in this human realm and kill a person, kill a human being, which is a sin, as the video just correctly stated, right? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then if you go further and you dissect Christianity and you say, you know what, okay, that doesn't make sense. I don't believe in the Trinity, and I don't believe in Jesus being the Son of God. Then it becomes even more abstruse, of course, because then is the question, why sacrifice this innocent guy? Why sacrifice this prophet? That doesn't make any sense either, right? And then you say, well, The whole crucifixion, it probably happened because we have a bunch of historical evidence, but I don't believe that my sins are forgiven through that crucifixion. I simply believe that it happened and that Jesus got betrayed by his apostle, and that's pretty much what it is. Yeah, well, then you're pretty much out of Christianity, so was I, because now you don't believe that God is triune, and you don't believe in the crucifixion any longer, and you don't believe in the Son of God. Now you might become a deist or a monotheist, but a monotheist without a law of God is somewhat lost, of course, because if you say you are a monotheist, you believe in a one God alone, however, you do not believe that that God ever revealed anything to humankind, then you will end up ultimately worshiping your own desires. Even if you say that you don't, even if you start cherry-picking certain phrases from certain spiritual traditions, and you appeal to common sense, and you claim that you understood God, and you understand what is right and wrong, you understand what is good and evil, obviously, ultimately, you have no reference whatsoever, and therefore you will end up following your own desires. This is a very slippery slope that can lead to solipsism, ultimately, where you believe that only your perspective is the right one, and only you exist indeed. How can you know that the rest of humanity is not simply an NPC walking around and it is all a deception after all? So this then can lead to forms of hedonism and ultimately nihilism as well. So matter of fact, if you broke through those shackles of Christianity, you are of course one step closer, or maybe even many steps closer, of course, to Islam. Quick reminder here for the Christians watching, Islam simply proposes that there's only one God worthy of worship and that God sent messengers. Those messengers were humans, and some of them had great miracles that they were granted by God, because all power comes from God alone. We do believe in all the messengers, starting with Adam, you have Abraham, you have Noah, Jesus of course as well, Moses, and finally Muhammad. May peace be upon them all. That is pretty much what Islam is about. Now, yes, you do have the Sharia, you have a law set in place, but honestly, if you read into the Old Testament, you will find that the Sharia is actually not as strict as the Old Testament is. Yeah, it was quite a big surprise for me as well. Of course, mainstream media, Western media wants you to believe that the Sharia is this evil, archaic law. But if you really look into it, you will find out by yourself that those laws are there for human flourishing. They're quite beautiful, actually. They preserve the family structure, they preserve dignity, morals, belief in God, etc. It is quite a beautiful thing. Matter of fact, I make the claim, of course, that if we all would follow Sharia, we would have heaven on earth. It would be amazing. Anyways, guys, if you made it till the end of the video, I obviously, if you're a Christian, a Jew or whatnot, invite you formally to Islam. Alright guys, but this is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out the links in the description box below to further support my work. Thank you very much for that, guys, and as always, may God bless you all. Much love and peace.
يا نفس إن لم تظفري لا تجزعي